Okay, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Let me just test my audio. Yeah, seems like it's working. Um, so I'm going to just quickly drop the link to this live stream and see if anybody wants to join, and then I'll go right into what we're doing here. Oh, interesting. It kind of shows me live there on LinkedIn. Um, let me. I have a feeling this is going to create like echoes or something. So, um, I'm going to click this invite thing. Now, I realize this invite, um, I'm just thinking maybe I should share this on LinkedIn too, on the post. Right here. All right. Now let's go into StreamYard, see if this shows me with any viewers or anything. Um, I have no idea if anybody's here, but as far as I'm concerned, I want to dive right in. So it's not here. They could just, I guess, watch the recording later. So I'm here looking on my other screen. Here I've got ChatGPT open, and I'm going to go to my GPTs and kind of demonstrate quickly what I have going on. So this is the, let's see, I created two here, and I'll find the ones that are relevant. So this is the first one I created. This is meant to be just a ChatGPT chat that qualifies people basically for the firefighting foam lawsuit, and then sends the lead to me. So, we're going to be trying to create a voice agent that does this, that mimics this. So for now, let's just quickly test this out. And let's see how the bot does. It's asking me if I was exposed. I'm going to write yes. Um, okay, it's doing a good job with the conditions. I'm going to choose goiter just because. So this right now is not necessarily any better than any form on a website or live chat on a website. So now it's asking if I want a free case review. It's asking me for additional information. So the first thing that I'm noticing is this is running a little slow, which I feel like it shouldn't be running this slow, but that's something we have to be mindful of with voice, because if it's too slow, it's going to frustrate people. So it asks me for my name. Hey Noah, nice to see you here. I hope I don't bore you too much. I'm going to get to what I'm doing in a minute, but for now, I'm just demonstrating the GPT. Um, yeah, put a fake phone number. Sorry if that's your phone number, I made it up. And here it's giving me a TCPA question, asking me to authorize. So I'm going to say yes. And then it should be triggering a function or an action, as they're called in GPTs, that should be sending this to a webhook. My information I just submitted, and you know what? While that's running, I'll just have it queued up so we could check if it comes through. So now it's asking me to confirm. I'm going to let it speak. And here it's got kind of a summary of the chat I just had, but with JSON of the my lead information. I'm going to hit confirm, and it says my information has been reviewed. Let's just quickly jump into Make and see if this came through. And here we have some history. And there's that lead. So nice and easy. We just captured a lead from a GPT. So now normal intake for legal, oh, we don't need the lead. What this is going to do is, or what I have right now, if let's say you fill out the form on this website, I have an intake center that's going to call you, and they go through a pretty long questionnaire. Let me see if I can find an example of one of those questionnaires. What I'm looking for is if there's any forms that got indexed by Google. Probably shouldn't have been indexed, but I feel like I've seen them somewhere in the SERPs. But okay, I can't find one now, but I'll find one of these forms in a little bit. But anyway, so there's the GPT that does the basic questionnaire. And if you want to see kind of just under the hood, what's happening is I've got a prompt here. It's probably overkill for what I'm having to do. But the main part of the prompt is kind of um, the instructions to trigger the action. Here, right here. And then trigger a webhook action to send this data. And then if I scroll down here, oh, it looks like I have the lawsuit complaint for the AFFF lawsuit. I doubt it's going to touch that. And then I've got this action here, which is this webhook. And this pretty basic, just asking it for this JSON. And then one other thing I meant to show is I should have an example of the actual JSON right here. So I'm asking it to kind of use that format. I don't know if it's necessary. I'm not a developer, but I was able to create this not being a developer. So, and then I have another version of this I created that's supposed to have a more comprehensive intake for this lawsuit. I think it's this one. Yeah, so this goes through a few more questions. were you convicted of a felony? Have you already filed a lawsuit? Do you have a lawyer? A few other questions there. Now, in an ideal world, what happens is the intake would go through this questionnaire, and then they would go ahead and uh, populate a DocuSign or some sort of contract, digital contract, and then send it over to the person, asking them to sign it while they're on the phone. So that's the usual process. So ultimately, building a voice agent for legal intake, the goal would be, can we get to the point of actually getting a signed retainer actually signed, all using just an assistant from OpenAI or something. So what I have here is, and I opened up a little workflowy tab to just kind of map. These are the tools I'm going to experiment with, but the goal is to take a caller, either inbound or outbound, and qualify them, gather information, and populate a retainer agreement and get them to sign it. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to do all of these steps as a stage one, but for stage one, we want to see, can we even get a voice agent to work and be quick enough? So I'll start with SimFlow just because this used to be called Fine Tuner and I used it. I haven't actually played around with it for a while because to upgrade's like $400 or something, and I just didn't think it was worth doing that just to test it. But what I can do is kind of show you the configuration here. So they have a prompt called outbound sales, or actually it's a model that they fine-tuned. And here's a custom greeting. And then, interesting, this patience level thing looks new. I haven't seen this before. The language, I'm trying to find, here's the name, here's the prompt, I guess, that it would use. So they have templates here. A whole bunch of them, but let's say you're doing, I don't know, maybe HR pre-screening is probably the most relevant to this. Let's see what that looks like. So they've got a prompt here. It gives it background info, tells it how to handle certain objections, and then has some rules for it to follow, and interview structure and questions. Now this might work well, and maybe we'll try it. But for now, this is something I did maybe a month ago. I copied one of their prompts and modified it for AFFF. Now, the number one thing you'll notice with AFFF is it's spelled AFFF, but the AI never gets that right. Even spelling it out, AFFF, it still struggles. Hold on a sec. I feel like a lot of this information in the prompt is not actually necessary for what it's doing. I feel like I'm asking it to do too much, and I'm probably confusing it. But this is going through the actual qualifications. So asks if they're exposed, asks them if they have a diagnosis. So this is actually a full questionnaire. Delete that. So let's see if we're able to call this and test it. And this might not work. Let's find out. All right, I just got some really weird and awkward audio. I don't know if it went through, but the main reason I'm not upgrading right now is because of the price point to start. Seems a little pricey, and for me, this is just an experiment. But maybe we'll work with this prompt or come back here to figure out what went wrong on the call we just did. And then let's see what else we could do here, because it's not good enough for us to just do the call. So here, it's connected to my Twilio, my 11 Labs, my OpenAI. I guess I could use Anthropic too. Maybe that's worth testing with Quad 3. I'm trying to see if it has, the real question becomes, okay, let's just say we have the agent and it does the call and it gathers the information. What about the action or the function? Like, we'll actually send the information somewhere. Can we actually send the information to populate a webhook? And I'm not sure I could do that with SynthFlow, but okay. Here's some of their partners. Maybe it's worth looking at them to see if those use cases are covered. But for now, let's assume that that's not going to work great for our needs. So now let's go to the, I don't know how to pronounce it, Vapi. So they have a built-in agent over here. These instructions to me look cleaner and better than what I saw in SynthFlow, but I tried to create an agent yesterday, and I gave it basic information to qualify, and I actually think this works decently. So let's hit talk. Sure, it's David. Sure, it's 303-333-2244. Sure. Myself. Yeah, with a thyroid disease. Sure. It was probably about 15 years ago. About a year later. I have not. Nope. Nope. Yeah, sure. Thanks. So, for those who followed that entire flow, um, it does sound like an IVR. It doesn't sound like a human. I think it was listening for the questions that should be correct, I would probably have to, test this with wrong answers or accents or things like that to know how well it will work. But the number one concern I had listening to that was the speed of response. It just felt a little too slow. If you noticed in SimFlow during the configuration, so as a patience level, but I think it also had like a voice synthesizer, balanced voice quality and response speed. So that's interesting. So let's go back here and see if we have any sort of features like that. So we have the core prompt, we have the provider, which interestingly enough, I could test a gazillion models. Honestly, I should test if it'll work well with 3.5, because why pay for 4 if it'll work with 3.5? I would think I'd probably want a slightly lower temperature for it to be more accurate. But I think that was good. And then max tokens, I think that's more than enough for this kind of conversation. For voice, in this case, I use 11 Labs just because I have an account there, but I could use any of these others. And I chose a voice using 11 Labs. Now the transcriber, I don't know what the transcriber is. I don't even know what DeepGram is, but I'm assuming it's probably during the call transcribing the response back and forth into audio. I don't know why it's not using like Whisper for that, but let's find out what DeepGram does, because I don't even know what it is. Top rated speech API. Transcribe speech with unmatched accuracy, speed, and cost. This is interesting because I wonder if, so here. So I can use DeepGram directly in Make or any of these other things, Twilio, etc. Let's find out the pricing to figure out why it's using it. It's a lot of money. But you can start with $200 of credits. Oh, here's the models and the pricing. One thing I saw that was interesting about Vapey, or however you pronounce it, is I don't think they mark up tokens. So I think that they charge a flat fee, probably per minute or something. We'll look at that in a minute. But I don't think they're marking up the tokens. But let's go back to look at this. So we were using which model here? Nova 2. Nova 2 looks like their lowest word error rates recommended for most use cases. But it looks like pay-as-you-go is 0.043 cents a minute. Okay, that's pretty cheap, especially if you hit, that's pre-recorded. Now, we were probably streaming, which is probably quicker. So half a cent, a little over half a cent a minute. That's not enough to really hurt in any way, shape, or form. So this looks like a good solution one way or another, and it looks like they probably power a whole bunch of the tools out there on the market. But that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so back here. So we use DeepGram, then TalkScriber appears to be another option. Let's just see. TalkScriber uses Whisper, and I thought Whisper is OpenAI. So let's find out what TalkScriber is. Speech AI into apps. Also just as expensive, but twice as much. Almost a full penny a minute, almost twice as much price-wise. So DeepGram definitely seems to be the natural solution there. unless the other one's much better. Now, functions is where things get tricky because remember, getting the phone call is only part of the challenge. We want to actually have a phone call do something. So one option here is there's a built-in function to allow, I believe this would be allowing the assistant to live transfer the call. So the reason I'm exploring this now more than before is I've been looking at co-registration marketing, which is typically much lower quality. And my intake center that I'm paying right now charges me $1.85 a minute, which is a fortune, obviously, to be paying. So naturally, if I could find, set up an AI that costs me, 20, 30 cents a minute, I'm in much better shape. So I still need to speak to my attorney about how to leverage this to be TCPA compliant or what that looks like. Obviously, if it's an inbound call, that's not such a concern. But for outbound, that gets trickier. But it appears like I can have it for the call directly. But this also appears like I could allow it to use the IVR to dial digits on the keypad. So if I have this connected to a phone or to Twilio, I can have it kind of do things there. This enables it to end the call function, but my problem with these functions there is it asks it for a function name, a function description, and properties. And once it's asking for a property, I'm already out of my element. I'm not a developer. I don't know what these things mean. In ChatGPT, when I wrote my functions, the actions, I did two things. The first one is Google has an amazing GPT for building actions. And I used this. And that's how I was able to generate, the schema for my actual action. So if I click in, so like this here, like it was generated, and then once it's generated, it's plain English. So I'm able to see caller full name, type string, description, may I have your name, best contact number, type string, description, may I have best number to reach you. So when I go back in here and I look at the functions, like would I be doing something like property name? Let's go back to that GPT for a second. Caller full name. Is that how it did it? I'm just not sure if caps or things like that are useful or not here. Yeah, okay. And then this will be a string. Okay. I can add it. Let's see what else I could do. So the function name could be lead capture. Let's make it one word. And then, okay, so I've got right here, let's describe it. Oh, I have to hit save. Okay. So maybe this will work. And I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a developer, but let's take the next object we have. So we have caller full name, and then we have best contact number. And that's a string. And I wish I didn't have to create this step by step. Permission to contact. We had that action going on. Okay, so we've got some sort of custom function here. But I have no idea what it does now. So let's say I hit publish. Like I'm not sure this knows what to do. Let's go back to this for a second and see if we can mimic it. So this we tell it. So we've got servers URL, and then we have a make webhook. But See, like, I'm not sure how to potentially build this whole response into a format that works for this. And I'm also not sure how to do this at scale because obviously this is a pain to manually do that step by step. Let's see if advanced does anything for me here. So there's a HIPAA compliance checkbox. That's interesting, but not relevant. We do want to record calls. So here we have instructions. This is the URL that VP will use to communicate messages via HTTP post requests. This is used for retrieving contacts, function calling, and end-to-end call reports. Server URL. So, but here it says endpoint URL to handle server messages. Let's just assume for a second that that's where I would plug in this make webhook. Okay, we could set a secret, but we don't have one. Client messages. Okay. Interesting. So it could send client messages, a transcript, function call, speech update, metadata, conversation update, server message. Let's add transcript. Okay. Let's try this. Let's hit publish. Let's try this. Let's see if this does anything. Sure, it's David. Sure. 303-322-2244. Sure. Someone else? Bob Dole. Um, he's my uncle. Unfortunately, he passed. It was about a year and a half ago. August, August 9th, 2023. Bladder cancer. Well, he was a firefighter in the Navy back in 1993 to 1994 and used it in training. Not that I know of. Nope. Nope. Yes, please. So a few things. First thing was I threw in some wrenches there. I cut off the rep and it did a good job. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm a little disappointed it didn't actually hang up when it said goodbye. So I'm just going to add that here and hit publish. So next time it says goodbye, it should also end the call. Let's see if it sent that payload. Doesn't seem like it did. Let's hit refresh. Yeah. So at least what I can tell, unless that webhook goes somewhere else, which is a possibility. Let's see if I can figure it out. Let's go back here. So I think, all right, so we have the call we just did. Yeah, full transcript. That's interesting. I never looked at this before. So we used a total of, all right, our total cost was about 20 cents here, but we also have our OpenAI expenses, which, and 11 labs possibly. Let's find out how much that call cost us. Assuming this is accurate, no more than, here. Um, I don't even know how to read this, but looks like there wasn't that much activity. And overall for today, I've got 1106 in spend, but a bunch of this is producing content. So, I got a $10 grant. Cool. Oh, that's another note, by the way. You know how I got $5,000 of free grants from OpenAI. Microsoft for startups is the secret. So if anybody wants to figure that out, watches this far, they deserve to. They deserve to be able to get credits. Wow. Get up to 150K to use towards free access. I didn't get that. I got $2,500 twice here. Hey. So there you go. You're building something, go to Microsoft for Startups, sign up, and you can get some free OpenAI credits. Anyway, so this seems to be functional. My biggest problem is we haven't quite figured out how to trigger this action or webhook. And I'm sure it's somewhere in. Well, let's browse through their documentation for a minute. Transfer call. You can give a transfer call function. Okay, so when the user asks to be transferred, use the transfer call function. Aha. So you have to kind of tell it in the prompt to use a specific function. That makes sense. End call function, dial keypad function. Now let's read what it says about custom functions. So I could tell it to call a specific name function. So you create a function that looks like this. Okay. That doesn't look very different than this function, right? Okay, so this is the challenge I have in here, right? Let's look at the model and the prompt, because I think maybe we could fix this here. So first, one thing we noticed is every time it says AFFF, we should change it to AFFF because it just pronounces it wrong, and that's going to be a huge red flag. I noticed a few places where it got that wrong. So oh no, did we not save that function? Let's try and make this as similar as this one here. So this function is called send lead and chat data. Let's go here. Let's describe it. So this is gonna be a little monotonous, so let's use descriptions too so it doesn't get confused. I don't know if anybody's a developer here. I feel like the colon should be deleted, but I'm not going to add all these properties right now, but let's add like 2 or 3 and send this over. Permission to contact is Boolean. Let's see how this does. There's got to be a way to copy and paste this whole thing without manually building this, right? Okay, so we have a function called send lead in chat data. Let's see what we could do here. Let's use our example. Let's try to plug this. I'm going to try something tricky here, see if it works. Now we're asking it to just send everything as one big JSON object, which we'll mess around with. Let's read the forward call thing. Transfer call function. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. So I realize this prompt here. I think we could delete this. I have a feeling this is too much and it's going to throw it off because it's kind of duplicated there, but let's publish this and let's give it a shot. You know what? I'm debating if I should switch providers for this just because why not? All right. Let's see how this does. Sure, David. No, you may not. Yeah, but you wouldn't know what number to call, so maybe you should ask for my number again. Sure. 303-123-4567. Myself. Yes. Bladder cancer. It was in 1997, August. It would have been about 2 years before the diagnosis, to the month. Yep. Maybe about 6 months later. Nope. Nope. Yes, please. Are you there? Okay. So we got disconnected there. Honestly, I don't know if anybody watching, if you're able to hear the assistant, but it looks like a webhook went through. So let's check out the payload. So we have a web call URL. All these other fields are empty. Let's see if anything else came through or if it's just this. It looks like multiple payloads. Um, that's not good. Because like a minute ago, we had like 2 today, right? And now I see uh, it's almost like never ending. I might have to like kill this somehow. Oh, interesting. So we got something. Hmm. Question is, why is it sending so many? This is probably costing me money. How do I kill this action? Is it still triggering actions? 40754. Let's see if it does anymore. Operations 598. Jeez, that's one heck of a bug. Let's look at the payload. Nothing there. But this one was something, right? We have the summary right here. We have transcript. Interesting. So every turn got sent as its own collection. Let's make sure it's not triggering any more webhooks. So what they all say is when I signed up for this site, and I'm going to delete this webhook from here because that does not seem right. How do I know if this function got triggered? So that's interesting. Every single turn of the prompt, I mean, like I say the word sure, it's sending my entire prompt with it. That's why we're using 34,000 tokens for the prompt and only 400 for completions across the whole conversation. So that's certainly interesting, and it's probably an argument to try to simplify this prompt. I bet you I could get. And that's probably why it timed out on us. Because it was sending all of those. Webhooks. Hmm. Well, I'm sure there's a way to solve and understand what the heck happened here, but I think the most important takeaway from it is so Oh, that's interesting. Under functions and predefined functions, no, where was it? Advanced. When I had a server URL in here, let's revisit that. You see how it pops up, and these are the messages that will be sent. So conversation update, we don't need. Status update, we don't need. We should probably find out what these are, but this might have been telling it to send like status updates every 2 seconds during the call. Like, let's take yeah, like every second. Type transcript, role assistant, transcript type partial. Transcript, I'm very sorry. Call. Yeah, so it's literally, I guess if you have some tool that's useful to follow the call live, that might make sense, but I don't think we need these. So client messages. I don't know what the client SDKs are. This is probably the stuff that got sent to us. And this hang and transcript thing, we need to better understand. Yeah, that's a wild amount of webhooks there. See, started at 403, ended at 407. It's about 4 minutes. That's about 4 times 60. 60, 120, 180, 240. So over 240 webhooks were triggered during that call. All right, lesson learned. I guess that's how you mess around with things and figure it out. But the good news is we right now have confirmed that we could send information during the call and after a call to a webhook. So now the question becomes, can we populate a contract and then text the person a link to a DocuSign? We want to text them specifically because then their phone number verified with us. And we want, if they could sign, we can walk them through signing the agreement as well if they're eligible. I think I'm going to have to write a more specific prompt. But what I would say is to date, we confirmed that it can follow the instructions. It can handle some answers that are not what it's expecting, although it still sounds like an IVR and still runs a little slow. And that could just be OpenAI. It could be it's much quicker if I use, Anthropic or I don't know what any of these others. I mean, some of them I know what they are, but okay. So, and then just so we know the pricing, I think Vapey charges 5 cents a minute. And then I think whatever you're paying for your models and everything else charges more. So in their example here, um, it looks like 36 cents or so a minute, all in maybe. I may be wrong. So transcription's a penny a minute. GPT-4 is going to be about 20 cents a minute. Um, so, I mean, I don't know if it's worth trying to replace um, human being. You know what? Going back to Make for a second, I want to see if any of these last webhooks payloads had. So this is silence timed out. So before this, try this. Okay, so this is the user confirming. Let's remember which one this is. This is 3 seconds, 823 byte. So let's look at this. I don't know what hanged means in their data. We'll have to look at that. Or 6 seconds. Maybe that means something bigger happened. Nope. This is a great summary. You see, there's the full message. Honestly, this, you could do a lot with this here. And this was sent at the end. Hmm. The thing I'm missing is why didn't it trigger the webhook? If it did, right? It sent everything here, including like a recording of the call. But why didn't, you know, why didn't it kind of create the information or capture the information we want to capture the same way it kind of did for the GPT? I don't know the answer there. What I would say is I like these people because they don't mark up the models. They just charge 5 cents a minute. Now that can add up, sure, but 20 cents a minute for GPT-4. A normal intake call, let's say, takes about 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, depending if they're schmoozing or not. So you're talking about 20 cents times 30 is $2 times 3 is $6 plus 30 cents, 630 plus $1.50 for them. That's 780 plus this, 5 cents a minute. It's another $1.50. All right, so about $8 a minute on the high end. No, that doesn't make sense. About $8 for a 30-minute call versus $1.85 a minute for a 30-minute call is costing me, 5 to 6 times as much. So the question is, is a human better for that extra, 6x cost? All right, we'll have to dig through some of this documentation. And then also, right now it looks like they have an API, right? That's the real point here. Is we're working in their dashboard because it's self-serve, but the truth is here is server settings and an API key that I could potentially use to send everything over here. Okay. I have to say, so far, I think this is functional. I think this can work. Now, I asked around and some people said try core.ai for this kind of voice agent. Let's start from scratch and see what we got here. So let's see, this drop down is. Okay, these are just icons that don't really mean anything. Let's give the bot the name. Okay. We'll call it marketing and sales. And let's see what the difference is between these two. This is annoying. The info signs pop up, but the question marks open up a live support document. Let's see. So that's interesting. I don't know the difference between these different virtual assistants, but I'm not really looking to build a virtual assistant as much as a intake bot. Um, I don't know. Those are, let's just go with standard for now. Okay, so their prompt builder kind of breaks it up a little bit. Let's see what this does. I don't know why my gut feeling is this isn't like an actual voice agent. Yeah, I need to learn a little more about what this thing is because the digital form sounds great. Let's try this. Okay, so it's a whole form builder. I don't know how they don't have name pre-built with all their other. Yeah, I don't know about 3/4 of these settings. This is already too complicated. No offense, Core. I'm sure it's a great product. Okay. Okay. They have some cool icons, buttons. And you can do lots of fancy stuff here, but I don't have the patience. So this looks like an actual virtual assistant platform. It doesn't necessarily have to be a voice agent. It looks like it gives you a lot of different tools to um, like it's almost like a robotic process automation that includes integrations. So like, interesting. So it seems like I could probably use this to automate um, getting like a DocuSign signed. So this is very interesting because it looks like you can trigger. This feels a little too technical for me. I don't even know what ServiceNow is, but I guess it's some contact center system. Let's take intercom as an example. Let's see what I could do. I could receive intercom messages in here. Okay, let's see what we could do with actions. So here's my real question. Do I have to build everything from scratch? So like this looks like an amazing like agent platform. Meaning I create a virtual agent and then I integrate it with all my different systems and it will kind of, access these different tools or actions to do different things. It probably could handle, you can add a prompt library. Honestly, this looks amazing, but it doesn't seem remotely close to my use case. This platform looks, assuming it works well, looks amazing. But it looks like you really need skills for this. Okay, so they have this kind of like drag and drop visual builder. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I know what I just did, but I maybe this can work, but this seems super complicated. It's like overkill. That's just in build. And then for deploy, yeah, that's cool. Let's see how expensive this is. So I don't know if I could use core for this. All right, pay as you go standard 20 it's 20 cents per conversation, right? Am I reading that correctly? That's actually cheap for this for the entire conversation. Handle 200 requests a minute. And supports $1,000 a month if you want it. I mean, I feel like you need to hire somebody for implementation or pay for like, I mean, this is email tickets on weekdays is $1,000 a month. That's nuts. Um, this is like way, way overkill. Well, it does seem like, let's say you build the form for your website. So let's say we have this landing page. If this form would go into core and it understands what those are and then routes it, it probably could do everything. Um, like you could probably integrate it with most systems. So if you're a law firm doing intake, you could probably integrate this directly into Salesforce. I think I need to like better understand what this is. Okay, so you have human to human interaction, human to machine, and then the future is human to machine. Um, so they're trying to replace UIs with a conversational UI, which I think is a very good idea. So detect the user's intent, extract entities, and then execute the dialog task. Here's my gut instinct, just looking at this, is this probably predated OpenAI hitting the market and their assistance product. Like in minutes, it's like I created an assistant in theory for the same kind of intake, right? And I've got a function, I have retrieval, I've got one of the main lawsuit complaints in the MDL. I've got instructions here. I could choose a model. I can add other functions. And honestly, just creating functions is hard enough for someone like me, where I'm letting ChatGPT and their Actions GPT create it for me. But I'm at least a little technical. So I just don't see how something like Core can be a practical solution for the vast majority of people. I do like this idea of like digital views and digital forms because like conversational, like I'll show you. I think that these prompts here, these starter prompts, I think they're useful. I think they matter. Like I don't want when I'm chatting with a computer, I don't want it to just be like using the app on my phone, talking by voice. Sometimes I want to just click on that, like the Gmail recommend response type thing. So you need a well-defined use case for a specific virtual assistant. See, this is too much work. This is, I feel like this is yesterday. I feel like today I should be able to define an end goal and have like generative AI agents flesh it out to the point where I could deploy. I don't know. I feel like you need what's the word for it? Like abstract away the complexity or something like that. Okay, so maybe I'll mess around with this some more, but I don't see how I'm going to be able to use this for the conversation. I do think this could be a good solution for auto populating from a form um, a retainer agreement and then sending it to the user. I think it's probably a great platform for that. Um, Especially because with a form, the data is coming in a structured way, which means like look in this when the thing pops up, like look how many tab like options, icons there for things that you could change when something loads. That's way too much cognitive load for me to process. Um, Maybe an enterprise brand spending 6 months building this makes sense, but I am curious what digital views are. It's just a dynamic. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Moving on to the next platform. So we looked at this briefly, FineTuner.ai, which rebranded to SynthFlow. Um, this UI for building, like the prompt as an example, it's not very different than the UI you have here, right? It's pretty similar. Um, I do like this one feature that lets you balance the speed with the quality. It also seems like they've fine-tuned an OpenAI model, which I don't know how that impacts pricing. Here's my issue with their pricing. You know, you could pay $30 a month for 50 minutes, and then it's like 60 cents a minute, which already isn't like a great deal. And you only got one workspace and one active assistant, so you can't play around with multiples. And then going to Pro, like you're starting at $450 a month. Like that's the baseline cheapest thing, and then you still only have five assistants, and it's 15 cents a minute. Did I mention, by the way, with Vapey, when I signed up, within minutes, the founder emailed me. I mean, maybe it was auto triggered, basically saying, if you need help with anything, just let me know. And I sent over my use case, and he proposed hopping into their Slack channel. But here, only $450 a month plans get access to Slack. Um, I don't think 14 days is enough time when you're playing with these kinds of tools. And then like $900 a month, you're getting my cost down to 8 to 13 cents a minute. Um, I guess if you're using this in production, this is probably a good deal, probably worth doing, or their agency thing. I mean, I guess technically I could do their agency thing and white label this, but I mean, I don't think it did so well. Um, let's see if it lets us test this again. Earlier, it didn't work. I mean, you hear that? Something's going wrong with the voice there, and I don't know what's triggering it. I do like that they have prompting guidelines and a comprehensive template. You know, a bunch of templates, not just like here where, you know, they have their sample, or if I create new assistant, what do we got? Customer support, inbound QA, game NBC, or blank template. Yeah, not loving it. Okay. So let's see what we could do with integrations. Twilio, 11 Labs. 1,400 a month to go white label. No thanks. Let's see if we give this one a try. All right, I don't know what's going on with the audio. Maybe it's my headset, maybe it's the streaming software, maybe it's their system, but they're a loss. So as nice as Simflow seems, let's quickly look at who their partners are. Honestly, these all just look like probably white label solutions built on top of it. No thanks. Okay, now we got Air. Air claims to do outbound sales. Let's try, let's see what we could do here. Let's go advanced. So this is an interesting feature off the bat. You can upload the call recording or paste in your script, or let it ask you a few questions, and then it magically creates a prompt. Let's go create from scratch. So let's look at what it looks like. Objectives. Okay, so these are pretty strong, like the script has to be word for word no matter what. I mean, I would probably bold has or something like that, but okay. Follow the script, don't miss a single line before the call, and say everything you've been told to on the script. Yeah, telling it what not to do very rarely works in prompts, but okay. This is interesting. Use colloquial languaging to sound like a real human. Your languaging should be variant and sporadic. So this is very interesting. They have very specific, strong language. I guess this is for sales. This looks like a variable or a function within the script. That's interesting. And then here's a script. Okay, let's see what we got here. We could add a new knowledge base. We can add an action. Hmm. Custom. So all actions have to be done via Zapier. Interesting. The voices are interesting. All right. Let's see how this does. Okay. So in order to set something up, I need to, let's see. So Zapier webhook, cal.com API key. What's GHL? I saw that in one of the other platforms. Yes, is that Google or whatever. Client API, webhooks. Okay, interesting. All right, I'm going to wrap this up in a minute just because I've been sitting here too long. Hmm, that's actually amazing. So I uploaded a Word doc that had information about the lawsuit, and it turned it into question and answer flashcards. And that's interesting because I wonder if that's how it kind of coaches the salesperson with paying attention for questions. Now I'm a little disappointed it didn't grab the conditions. So this gets tricky with the uploading it because it definitely is an automated dialer. I don't remember their pricing. Let's see if I can find Ear's pricing. $0.11 a minute outbound. That's really not that bad. Inbound's 32 cents a minute. And that's just a pure talk time. I love this. You can role play with agents to test the script. All right, let me go off screen and see if I can grab my Twilio credentials, and then we could test out Air. Although I don't understand why Air doesn't let me. Why doesn't it let me do like a web-based thing without dialing? That seems a little off to me. Okay, so I'm in Twilio, and now I need to figure out where in the world am I. Let's see. Account SID. I don't know if I'm supposed to like mask this or something, so I'm just gonna take it off screen for 1 second. And then an auth token. Okay, it's saved. All right, let's see. I don't love it's saved, but it's not private, which is not great. I don't really use Zapier, but let's go back to create. So we got this guy in here. This is really not the instructions I would give it. Here's what we're going to do. This might backfire on me. I tried to do this the other day and it didn't work very well. Let me try that. Let's see how this does. It's an interesting hypothesis for me to take my existing GPT and then give it the script. Oh man, it's following it turn by turn. I don't think it's going to end up working. It's sticking to the script, but it's not what I need. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try the opposite. How did I lose my... Huh. It's interesting because it didn't generate anything. See, it's just blank. Start script, end script, empty. All right. I'm going to have to manually create this script. Let me see what I could do here. All right, let's try it this way. In this ear, we're going to see how it does all this. This is annoying. Let's try this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy this format because the instructions tell it to look for these. What we're trying to do is see if I can turn my original script into their format of the wait for prospect to respond and then slash okay perfect. Ugh, ChatGPT gets so freaking lazy. I doubt it's going to do what I want it to do, but let's see. How annoying is that? That ChatGPT gets so freaking lazy, right? It seems like it's going great, 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 and then continue with health related questions. It's not going to know what those conditions are, list conditions, right? Those are listed. I really hate you, ChatGPT. Yay, we got the conditions. Copy code. Let's go to ear. And let's see if it lets us just hit Control V. Okay, perfect. Oh, huh. I doubt we'll be able to connect it, but let's see.
Hey, David.
Hi, how's it going? Hello? Let's give it another try. Just so you guys see, it's getting flagged as suspected spam. Let's answer it.
David,
Hello. Are you there? Hi, this is David. That's twice in a row it failed me. It said, "Hey, David," but then it didn't do anything after that. Let's give it another try.
hey David,
Hey, how's it going? This is David. Are you there? What's the next step? Well, that's three tries in a row, and it completely failed to get past the initial script instructions of saying, "Hey, prospect name." So you're paying 11 cents to them, plus you're paying for Twilio. Okay, I get the point. That was a waste of dev time. So you have to do a data import with these fields, which is okay, no big deal, but like, I guess most people are going to be exporting it. You know, let's keep the rest of this intact. Oh, huh. I thought I saved it. Give it one last try.
Hey, David.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello? I
Yeah,
hope your day is going well. I'm reaching out from lawsuitlegit.com. Do you have a moment to talk about a free case review related to AFFF exposure?
sure.
Great, thank you for taking the time. Before we proceed, may I confirm if you're seeking information for yourself or on behalf of a loved one?
This is for myself.
Understood, thank you for sharing that with me. May I have your full name, please?
Sure. David Melamed.
Thank you, David Melamed. May I have the best contact number to reach you?
646-919-1274.
Thank you for providing your contact number, David. Do we have permission to contact you in the event we get disconnected or for other missing information in this matter?
Sure.
Thank you for granting permission. Are you contacting us on behalf of yourself or someone else?
Myself.
Got it, David. Now, based on the information you've provided, it seems that you may be eligible for a free case review related to AFFF exposure. Our team of experts can assess your situation and provide guidance. Would you like to proceed with the case review?
Sure.
That's great to hear, David. I'll now ask you a few questions to gather more information for the case review. Please bear with me. Was the person exposed diagnosed with any of the following conditions? Thyroid disease, ulcerative... foam, AFFF, or PFAs?
Yeah.
I see. AFFF exposure can be a significant factor in certain health conditions. Can you provide the date of first AFFF exposure?
It was August of 1996.
Thank you for providing the date of first AFFF exposure, which was in August 1996. And do you happen to know the date of the last AFFF exposure?
Yeah, in 1997.
Thank you for sharing the date of the last AFFF exposure, which was in 1997. Now let's move on to a few more questions. Has the potential claimant already hired a lawyer for this claim?
Nope.
All right, just wanted to confirm. Has a claim already been filed for the injured party?
Nope.
Thank you for confirming that. One last question, David. Have you ever been previously convicted of a felony?
Nope.
Great, thank you for answering all the questions. Based on the information you've provided, you may be eligible for a free case review related to AFFF exposure. Before we proceed, I need to confirm if you consent to the TCPA agreement allowing us to contact you about your case. Can you please confirm your consent?
Yes.
Thank you for confirming your consent, David. Based on our conversation, it seems you may be eligible for a case review. However, I want to let you know that eligibility is subject to further assessment by our partner law firm. They will review your case in detail and provide you with more information. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's it.
Great. Thank you for your time and for sharing this information with us. We'll be in touch soon if we need any more details. Have a great day, David.
Thank you.
You're welcome, David. Take care and have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Goodbye. Take care and have a great day.
I guess I have to hang up there. I don't know if you guys picked up all that audio or not because I turned off my headset, but I am going to.
Headset. And I assume you guys can hear this. Whoever's still here or listening, or I guess I'll see in the recording. That actually, I think, went pretty darn well. The question is, now what? So I had to end the call. That was a little annoying. Let's see what we got here. So these were the first two that I tried that it wasn't going through. Doesn't explain what went wrong here. But let's look at this guy. That's good. Almost got spelling right. Looks like I had an issue with my mic there for a sec, or maybe for longer, but seemed to do a pretty decent job with capturing the information and kind of summarizing it. Okay, so that's the notes. Here's the transcripts. I think the bot did a pretty excellent job, to be perfectly honest. I'm very concerned about the prior to. Let's just kind of send them this feedback. And then okay, so here's what I would say. The prompt built in to this platform, I may have accidentally just re-enabled it. I don't want it enabled. So I'd say the prompt built into AIR is pretty comprehensive. I was able to give it a knowledge base, which is helpful. It's some of the setup is slightly annoying on the campaign side. If you create a new agent, at the price point, here's basic. Yeah, I definitely like the, I think what I would do with AIR is build a live transfer qualification. So have the user call in, verify, their qualifications, and then maybe live transfer. With Zapier, we could probably send information. I'm just not convinced or sure what information we could send. Let's see what happens here. So you need to tell it when to hang up the call. You need to tell it if you want a live transfer. So it'll send a signal to trigger an action, but I guess, oh, interesting. Name of action, send $250 payment link. So, but what we want to do is we want to auto-populate a retainer and send it to them and then kind of walk them through it on the phone. I wonder if I could do a transfer to a second agent that picks up. I'm not sure. You know, the contact information. I wonder if it'll take more than these 4 columns. It really doesn't give you enough. But within the lists, in theory, you have dials, pickups, failed, busy, no answer, amount spent, outcomes, cost per outcome. I should probably read that fine print. You do for inbound calling or outbound. I don't know how much that call cost me from Twilio, but I can't imagine it was too much. All in all, I would say if it's legal, like you have all the compliance you need to make the phone call, and you spend a little time actually customizing the prompt. Because like, look at how comprehensive their instructions are here. For starters, they're instructing the bot that it's a human in the middle of a conversation. That's a very interesting instruction. Now, to follow the prompt exactly, it did great. But oh, interesting. You could trigger like custom actions, like conversions. Huh. You could do keyword spotting, listening to the recordings. That's cool. We could trigger this via a webhook. Oh, interesting. All the time, I think you need to do things in Zapier, and it's got a make integration. Okay, with a little work, you could do some things here. You can add the knowledge base, you can add the script. It's got very strict instructions. You can upload the list. And your cost is 11 cents. And you're not adding any API keys for, I mean, nice. So you can actually trigger a conversion pixel here back to advertising. That's kind of cool. Okay. So, so far, the AP seems like the easiest. Core seems amazing, but like way too difficult to sort out and make sense of for a layperson. Air seems pretty seamless, pretty easy, but we did have a little bit of trouble at the beginning. So reliability is going to be an important question on it. And then we have voice flow, which let's start with integrations just to kind of see. Okay. Okay, designer one. I hate these canvases. I know they're supposed to make things better, but they're not super useful. I don't even know what to do here. Quick start. Add a PDF URL text document to the knowledge base. Press 2. Press the play button to run your assistant. Press R. Publish and launch your website documentation. Okay. All right, so there's say hello AI model. Say hello to user in different language. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay. So they have their own tokens and they charge you a markup. So GPT-4 Turbo is 12x their tokens and you have to upgrade to do it. Okay, so 3.5 is all I could test with. I don't know why I want temperature of 1 with like a chat bot. I feel like the lower temperature would make it more accurate, like maybe an 0.4 or 0.6 or 7. Max tokens, okay. Here's a system message. Your helpful assistant, keep all responses to one sentence. I don't know why people do this, like keep all responses to one sentence maximum. Like I'm pretty sure it's not counting. And so like it might get that right, but I feel like it could just as easily get that wrong. And that just seems like wasted space, in my opinion. And it says it again, do not exceed one sentence. Okay, I hear it. Fine. How it works. Okay, so we've got this first step. It looks like there are variables that you could potentially add, but that's last utterance. Okay. Okay. And then there's some sort of prompt here. And then down here, I could tell it to use so an intent. Okay. Okay, so I could tell it to use ChatGPT or let's launch learn components. Oh, I feel like I need to look at like a live version of this to understand what I'm doing yet. Learn more about project structuring your assistant. Now let's look at this. Learn components, how components work. I create a reusable set of steps so you can use anywhere in your project. They act like subfolders in your project. See, I think all these sites are missing the point, which is I want to, like, I copied and pasted into this prompt, and that was perfect. I needed a specific format in the structure. I went to ChatGPT, and I had it do it for me. Nice and easy. I mean, it wasn't nice and easy. It didn't get it on the first shot. It was lazy in the first shot, but still. But when I go to these like voice flow, it looks super complicated. To build a conversation, you need three things: paths, save information, create logic. Okay. Using the button steps to choose one of them. Add paths. Conversation path, I guess, would send the message to ChatGPT or something. We could save information as variables, then adding logic. I don't know what a topic is. It's a folder. Okay. Yeah, I'm already bored and confused. This is like a better builder here. So these are intents that were created. Okay. Okay. Honestly, I'm a little bored here with voice flow. I could probably spend time learning the platform. But again, I have to build out the entire flow, like with drag and drop, which is like such a clunky UI when compared to text, right? Go back to ear and, or even my regular GPT. Like I mean, how many of you here have ever created a GPT? They're so freaking easy. Like forget even using the create bot that will do it, but go to configure and I can just like create new action, get help from Actions GPT, right? Now, what do we want to do? We want to send a first name, last name, and phone number and email to DocuSign to auto populate a template. Oh, let's make this even easier to Zoho. A template that but you see what's going on here? This Actions GPT is writing out this entire schema. All right, now this is going off the rails. Actually, okay, this is getting a little annoying, but okay, but here, once you submit the info, construct a JSON object with provide details, right? This might, be close to functional, honestly, but anyway, here's where I landed on this. Voice flow and core need someone that actually understands the platform and sits through and really thinks through the flow very carefully. Here we had a bug initially, but I'm not sure it could populate an agreement or what it would do with sending the lead. But if, let's say, the goal is to live transfer, let's say I have, I don't know, 10,000 co-reg leads I need to dial out to. I have the TCPA compliance for them, and I just want to qualify them and then live transfer it. I think ear sounds close to human. I think air would actually be a good solution there. And I would assume probably about 15 cents a minute. Vapey, I think we're closer to 20, 30 cents a minute if we're using GPT-4. We don't necessarily need that. But it was able to pretty much follow these instructions, and it seems like we could trigger a function. The two issues we had here was at least we have to figure out how functions work because we sent like 500, like every second we sent a new webhook to make when we attempted to test it. And then I think the second issue was it's a little slow in its listening and response. I want something a little quicker. SynthFlow, for some reason, the audio wasn't working. Maybe we just have to change the username or create a new one. But all in all, I'd say it was pretty. In the past, I tested it. It was functional. I didn't love it, but they have good templates. Where I'm landing right now, if I'm going to test this live, I would probably test both Vapey and Air at the same time and see which one does better, see which one's cheaper, and then work from there. So anyway, I'm going to end the live stream in a moment. If anybody that's here or was here has any questions, you're welcome to type it into the comments or chat, and I'll try to answer them. If not, I'm going to disconnect in about half a minute. Oh, all right. So I have someone that sent me a message who set up an intake. Adam. I don't know if he's still here. I saw him here earlier. Let's give it a try. I'll dial his number, see how his intake goes. And he said he did it on SynthFlow. Which again, I don't think SynthFlow like built out a product the way others have. Like Vapey's trying to be one API for voice.
Contacting Johnson and Associates regarding the class action against Acme Corporation. This is James, your dedicated legal intake assistant. May I know who I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Sure. My name's David.
Welcome, Dave. Can you confirm that you're interested in joining the class action lawsuit against Acme Corporation?
I am.
Great, Dave. Could you please spell out your first and last name for me?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you please spell out your first and last name?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you proper spelling. That's too much work.
I understand. Could you please provide your email address instead?
Sure. David@test.com.
Thank you, David. Could you please provide your phone number?
303-111-2233.
Thank you. I have your contact information as 303-112-2333. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Could you please provide a brief description of how you believe Acme Corporation's actions have caused you harm?
Yeah, they poisoned my water.
I'm sorry to hear that. How long have you been using the product or service provided by Acme Corporation?
I don't know, about 6 months.
Understood. Have you experienced any specific financial losses or medical issues as a result of Acme Corporation's actions?
Yeah, I had to put in a reverse osmosis system in the house.
I see. Have you reported your concerns to Acme Corporation or any other parties, such as regulatory agencies or consumer protection organizations?
Nope.
Got it. Are you currently represented by another attorney, or have you previously sought legal advice regarding this issue?
Nope.
I see. How did you hear about Johnson and Associates and the class action lawsuit against Acme Corporation?
I don't remember.
That's okay. Are you aware of any other individuals who have experienced similar issues with Acme Corporation's product or service?
Nope.
I understand. What outcome are you hoping to achieve by joining the class action lawsuit?
Lots of money.
I understand. Do you have any upcoming deadlines or time-sensitive matters concerns related to your claim that we should be aware of?
Nope, not at this time.
Got it. Are you willing to provide a detailed written statement or testimony regarding your experience with Acme Corporation if necessary?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Do you have any documentation or evidence that supports your claim against Acme Corporation?
Yeah.
Could you provide some details about the documentation or evidence you have? This could include things like medical records, receipts, or any correspondence with Acme Corporation.
Yeah, I have medical records and receipts.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there any other information or concerns that you believe may be relevant to your potential participation in the class action lawsuit?
Nope, not at this time.
Based on the information you've provided, it appears that you may be eligible to join the class action lawsuit. The next step would be to schedule a consultation with one of our attorneys to review your case in more detail. What day and time work best for you?
Next Tuesday at around noon.
Great. I have scheduled your consultation with one of our attorneys for next Tuesday at noon. You will receive an email confirmation with additional details and instructions. Do you have any other questions or concerns before we conclude this call?
Nope, not at this time.
All right, Dave. I look forward to speaking with you next Tuesday. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, so we just tested a flow that Adam created. I don't know if you guys are able to hear it. I thought it was pretty comprehensive. He built it with SynthFlow. It's not great. It's a bit slow. Don't love the accent for the US, but all in all, I think it was functional. Like, I think it did a good job in questions. I'd be curious what happens after that call happens. So I guess Adam, you and I could touch base later and discuss it. And I'm going to go ahead and end the stream unless anybody posts any comments or questions in the next minute or two. Less than a minute or two, next 30 seconds probably. All right, I'm ending the